All right, welcome to another episode of the Camper Build, where I am building a camper that looks something like this. And then the top opens up, and then you can also enclose it either with a hard shell or a soft shell. And then also I have the windows where you can open them up by sliding them open, or just crack open the whole panel. So I'm back after a small break. I've been busy with work and some other projects that I've been working on, and also working on the camper. I was debating whether or not to continue with the videos, so I kind of paused on that for a while, but I thought I would go ahead and give it another shot. So is the camper a complete success or a total failure? So I've been using the camper now for a while, just the way it is right now. I still have to do a lot of things to it, but the verdict is yes, both. It's both been a success and a failure. There's some areas that are working really well, and then there's other areas that need a lot of work. And I'm going to kind of go over all those areas. So the overcab part of the camper is pretty much a failure right now. It just can't hold the weight. There's just too much deflection when you try to put a load on it. I'm using the 1" by 2" 80/20 T-slotted aluminum, and it just can't support enough weight. So I could upgrade to the 1.5" by 3", but that is it's just too heavy. Too big, and it's just way too expensive. So I'm committed to using the 1" by 2" here and make it work. I've got about 10 different ideas to support everything, and so it'll probably be a combination of one or two of those ideas. And I'll go over like some of the ideas that I have and then work on a final solution. So I'm just not sleeping on the upper deck here, but I have it set up so I can sleep in the back of the camper, so like I had with a regular topper or truck canopy or whatever you want to call it. So that's working out really well, and I'll go over the interior and some of the things that I've been working on there. And then I'll get back to the overcab part. And I'm also working on the pop-up too. It pops up like you saw, but I don't have it covered yet. So I'm still debating whether I wanted to do a hard shell kind of thing or just kind of a soft shell. So I'm working on that. I'm working on ideas for that, and I want to try to do the hard shell because I think that's just a better solution, but we'll see how well that works. So one of the biggest issues I had with the camper was trying to get everything square. So everything went together real quick, easy, simple, and that wasn't a problem at all. But then I didn't realize how much of a play is in a lot of the pieces, and so I just couldn't get it square. It wasn't just like one thing, it was a combination of a whole bunch of different things. And so what would happen is that I had the top rail here and the roof panel, the roof part up here, and they weren't meeting, and so it was just off a little bit. And then I would try to adjust the camper, loosen up a couple things, tighten up a couple things, get it square out, and nothing seemed to work. So I finally came up with a methodology so I could take the camper apart, put it together, and make sure everything is lined up where it needs to be. And I'm going to go over what I learned and what I figured out, because I'm going to have to do it again one more time, and then that way you can kind of see the process that I went through. But just know that there's a lot of play in a lot of areas with this T-slot aluminum, and when you're working with metal, you got to make sure everything's lined up. So I had a lot of issues with the T-slotted aluminum, especially the 1" by 1", and also the 1" by 2". I think if you had the 1.5" by 3", you probably wouldn't see the same issues. But what I'm seeing, especially with the 1 by 1, is when I have like a long run, like an 8-foot piece, that there could be a little bit of a bow to it. And it was causing a problem because I would take a square and try to line everything up, and then thinking that it was lined up at one end, but at the other end it was way off. And so when I was doing the roof, the one end was good, and then the other end was completely off. So I ended up using a laser guide and had the grid on the floor, and that way I could line everything up, and I could actually see where the bow was on the 80/20. Another thing is I had ordered some pre-cut pieces from 80/20, and I thought it was going to be a tighter tolerance. They were off, I think, by a 1/16 of an inch, so plus or minus 1/16 of an inch, so it's off like 1/8 of an inch, which is when I'm trying to meet the top rail and the roof, 1/8 of an inch is quite a bit, especially on the front. I'm still off just a little bit, so I need to kind of just re-square the camper with my new method, and that should do the trick. I'm really close now, so it's fine the way it is, but I thought I would just go over it one more time. That way I could film it so you can see how I do it, and I'll get a little bit closer. But for now, I think it's fine where it's at right now. So this is the overcab part of the camper, where I have the top rail here, which is 1 inch by 2 inch piece, and then the 1 inch by 1 inch roof here. So another problem with that I'm having is I used to have a 1 inch by 2 inch here on the roof part, and that was fine. I didn't have any problems with that. But I went down to the 1 by 1s, and it turns out that that this in the wind can actually pry up a little bit and kind of let some air in and cause some noise. So I ended up having to put a bracket here. So in order to take the top off, or to pop up the top, I need to take off these brackets. I have one on each side. Right now I just have a socket in here. I'm going to come up with probably a latch and put a latch here so I can do a quick release. So also, so I have the top rail here, the roof of the camper, and then also there's going to be an extension, which is going to be another 1 inch by 2 inch piece that's going to sit on top of this. And then there's going to be a second part of the roof, which will be another 1 by 1. But all that's coming in a later video on how I'm going to do the pop-up of the part of the camper. So for all the window panels, I just used plywood for the frame. This is the panel that goes on the back of the camper. Now, going into it, I knew that plywood's not going to work well for outdoor use, but I just needed to get it on the road, and I was just kind of trying to do quick prototyping and stuff like that. But it lasted quite a bit longer than I expected to, but it did finally start to come apart. Still haven't had time to kind of do the final solution, so I'm still using the plywood frame here, but instead of just doing the raw plywood, I do have some paint on here to kind of keep the moisture out. Eventually there's going to be all metal, kind of do a metal pan with the window in it, or some type of metal facing and stuff like that. But for now, I just have time just to deal with the plywood. So I'm hoping that the painted plywood is going to work a lot better, but we'll see how that goes. It's going to go a lot better than having just the raw plywood. But I'll keep you posted on how well this holds up, and see what condition it is in when I get the frame in there, or the metal frame in there. Anyways, this is just a quick update to kind of go over a couple things on the camper. Just mainly say that I'm back making a couple more videos. I'm also working on the interior part of the camper now. You can see some of the stuff here that I'm going to go into a little bit more detail on my thought process and design and why I'm building it the way I'm building it. And then I'm going to start working on a solution for the overcab, so I don't have to keep sleeping on the bottom deck here. I can start sleeping on the upper deck. But I'll keep you posted on all that, and hopefully I'll make some progress soon. Anyways, that's all I got for this go around, and I'll start making videos again here soon, and I'll see you guys on the next one.